Hey, what's up everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be talking about a critical part of sprinting that no one is talking about, and we're going to start the video right now.
This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab.
Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video. Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become. All right, so this is such an important thing that I think is so overlooked when it comes to sprinting, and it just shows that not very many people are really looking into the nuances of sprinting mechanics and all the key things that really go into play when it comes to running the fastest that you possibly can. And in some ways, even me included, it took me this long to be able to come up with this video. I've been making sprinting videos for a long time. We'll go ahead and hop right into it. I've actually been really trying to connect with you guys more when it comes to this and showing different exercises and different ways to be able to help you improve, and we'll go over those here today. But big thing that we're trying to do here, and this is obviously a younger athlete that is trying to work on improving their speed. What I see in a lot of athletes, especially athletes that are struggling from an acceleration perspective, having a hard time in being able to get to their top speed, is this reliance on internal rotation instead of extension when the foot is coming off the ground. So what we're looking at here is as the foot is coming off the ground, the foot is going into a large amount of internal rotation, right? So we can see the toe going in, we can see the heel going out to the side, and what this is doing is it's limiting the ability to actually get a forward propulsion. What we see is the heel's a little bit more inside and the starting to go more outside, and there's absolutely internal rotation as the foot's coming off the ground. So it's not that we're not using internal rotation at all, but we can see the difference in how that foot moved off the ground. And what we're looking at is just the response that the body ends up having, for one, and for two, what is the actual result of the action. So we see Marcel Jacobs being one of the fastest people in the world and is very, very good at picking up distance per step. And we also see, as his foot comes off the ground, way less of a internal rotation. So we don't see that foot going and totally turning inwards, and we don't see the heel totally turning outwards, but instead we see more of a extension out of the leg and extension out of the foot. And that's really what we're talking about here, is maximizing extension. So instead of getting internal rotation as that foot is coming off the ground, really being able to maximize the extension when that foot comes off the ground. And that's why things like the broad jumps carry over so well when it comes to sprinting. And even the long jump, right? He was a great long jumper, and this is why he can run so fast even as a long jumper, is because of his ability to really utilize that horizontal force, or that horizontal push off, to be able to maximize the distance he's able to pick up per step. So we want to be able to really understand that when this foot comes off the ground, yes, we don't need to overemphasize pushing off the ground, but at the same time, we do want to have an understanding and certainly be able to study our toe off and see where the force is being generated, or how we are utilizing the force into the ground to be able to best project ourselves forward. And so what we're seeing again here is a lack of ability to really create extension in the leg. And when we see the actual foot strike, we also see the placement's not bad, and the amount of force into the ground could definitely get better. The main thing that we want to be able to understand is how well are we able to actually get up to the end range within the foot. It's too much of an emphasis for this particular athlete on trying to be able to generate force by pushing off, and also an inability to generate the proper amounts of force into the ground, and also not being able to have the strength or the right biomechanics, or being able to build up the body properly to be able to get into the correct ranges in the body in general. So part of it ends up being the strength component and the range of motion and the balance and some of the things that are built within the body itself. And then part of it is the actual execution of the sprinting mechanics. And this is why I think it's important for athletes to be educated on what ends up being the main thing that we're looking at when it comes to sprinting. Because if we don't have the education behind it, then the ability for us to actually apply it becomes a lot more limited. So we'll go back to this video that I created the other day that goes into really two things, right? One is going to be the foot being back behind and being able to work on extension here and understanding that extension.
there, and then also even from a bent knee position, trying to work on the same thing. So you can see as my foot is coming up here, the position that it's getting with the heel in comparison to here. So what we're seeing here is really what I think ends up being what creates bunions too, which is that as the foot is actually pushing off the ground, we're not really getting full extension here. There's really two things that I think could end up happening here in terms of the push off. There could be a push off on like the beneath part of the toe, like on the inside part of the foot there, right where the bunions would end up being generated. Pushing off of that position, I think ends up making it so now we get more internal rotation, or you end up pushing off of the outside part of the foot, and when you push off of the outside part of the foot, because of the direction of the leg and what's going on there, we end up going and creating such a internal rotation of the leg. So you're almost like pivoting off the outside part of the foot, which is making it so then that knee is going inwards. Because we can see the knee being out here, and then as that foot's going off the ground, really getting a lot of internal rotation within the leg. So what we should be seeing with that foot when it's coming off the ground is more of a backwards push of the toe, and I've even seen this in myself when watching like Usain Bolt run and comparing myself to Usain Bolt, but we should be seeing like this foot push back straight as it's coming off the ground and not the heel go all the way out. So this is too much internal rotation in comparison to extension, which is the big thing that is affecting athletes and their ability to sprint as fast. So as always, guys, if you like the information, click that thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, you can leave those down below. And like I constantly talk about, and like I constantly say, I'm gonna continue to emphasize that in the description below, we have some great resources for you to be able to improve your speed, whether it comes to improving your 40, improving your top end speed, improving your start, whatever ends up being the case. I really don't think there's anybody looking into speed the way that I am, getting into the nitty gritty, into the specifics, into what ends up being the key differences between top athletes and top sprinters and getting into top speed well, in comparison to not doing it. And also the reason I do these videos, the reason I think that what the product I offer is the simplistic way of being able to explain it all. I'm constantly watching myself talk. I'm constantly getting feedback from people that I'm coaching, people that I'm working with, and even watching myself coach and seeing how can I be better at being able to describe it to make it so you can take the information and apply it. It's not always about how smart you are. There's so many people out there that I think are brilliant when it comes to biomechanics and understanding the body and being able to maybe make good videos online. But how well can you actually teach somebody that information, and at what level do they have to be in order to start being able to retain it? Within my coaching, within my career, within what I'm doing, is what can I do to make it so it's more simple, easier to apply, and get the best results the fastest? And that's what we're doing here within our programs, is really getting some great results. And like I said before, I'm gonna be implementing some great things into the program. So I'm your guy. I'm gonna be the person that's gonna be able to provide the highest level of value for you. And that's why I continue to push the program. That's why I continue to make these videos, show you time and time again that nobody is able to really get into the nitty-gritty of the mechanics quite like me. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys in the future. If you don't end up being able to afford it now, I'm sure we will be able to figure out something for you to get some great value. So again, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.